Armies of tradesmen have spent a good part of their lives in the driver's seat of the very first generation of the VW bus, called simply the T1. Driver Christoph Bauer's taking one of the more than 1.8 million T1s built out for a spin. The VW bus was the right vehicle at the right time. Christoph recalls its history starting in 1947 as West Germany was still rebuilding from the Second World War. Back then, tradespeople urgently needed a practical utility van to carry their tools and materials from A to B. Despite the massive damage at the VW plant in Wolfsburg, a solution was eventually found. At the time, VW workers were carrying parts and materials with a transporter they'd built themselves by putting a simple flatbed on a Beetle chassis and engine. The parts carrier inspired visiting Dutch VW importer Ben Pon to sketch what would become the VW bus. The engineering was based entirely on the still new Beetle, the only VW in production at the time. Christoph continues, in the autumn of 1948, VW chief Heinrich Nordhoff approved the construction of a utility van designed to carry a 750-kilogram payload based on the dependable VW Beetle. But it was not that easy, nor cheap. As it happened, the Beetle chassis tended to break up under a full load on the poor quality roads of the time. The Beetle's platform chassis wasn't strong enough to handle the 1.5 tons of a fully loaded transporter, so VW's engineers created a new ladder chassis with a single unit body. But the axles, engine, and many other parts were still taken from the Beetle. It was 1950, and all they needed was the right name. Christoph explains that in Germany, the VW bus is known as the Bulli, a mixture of bus and Lieferwagen, or delivery van. Unfortunately, the name was already trademarked, and other suggestions such as Felix, Juwel, Mulix, and Triumphator were also shot down by the patent office. So what? The VW bus was given the simple designation Type 2. But its German fans didn't care. They still know it as the Bulli today. The VW bus was a hit with the car-buying public in Germany and the world over. In 1954, the 100,000th unit came off the production line. Extra editions, like the Samba bus, and the practical flatbed pickup soon appeared. The highly versatile VW bus enjoyed huge popularity. For Christoph, this is one of the friendliest and most likable faces in automotive history. These funny bug eyes attract lots of nostalgic looks on the road, but the bus came close to looking quite different. Production would have been a great deal cheaper for a body with square contours, but tests in the wind tunnel showed that round edges made for much less wind resistance. So the VW bus was in fact one of the pioneers of aerodynamics. The split front windshield. The V-shaped front panel and a gargantuan VW emblem gave the first generation of the bus its now iconic face. A higher ground clearance and a practical flatbed with an optional canvas cover helped make the T1 pickup the ideal construction site workhorse. The double cab was introduced in 1958 with space for 6 workers and their tools, but heavy loads still pushed the engine to its limit. In praise of the legendary 1.1-liter 25-horsepower boxer engine taken from the Beetle. It's no surprise that a load of 1.5 tons had the engine puffing and groaning, so the engineers gave it a shorter gear ratio. That brought the top speed down to 80 kilometers per hour, but made it more dependable, as a workhorse should be. The 1.2-liter engine in this one delivers 34 horsepower. These days, the vintage T1 buses are mostly retired from their labors. With no load, they can be surprisingly nippy, even if the maximum speed of just 95 kilometers per hour and the partially synchronized transmission will keep a drive in the country very leisurely. Christoph attributes the VW bus's enormous success to its incredible versatility. The version he's driving now is a double cab pickup, or as its fans call it, a doka. And dokas were the preferred vehicle of builders. The high-load sill helps it get through rough terrain, such as foundation pits, with ease. Like all the other editions, the double cab pickup was a bestseller. In 1958, Volkswagen moved production from Wolfsburg to a plant built especially for commercial vehicles in Hanover. 3 years later, the 1 millionth VW bus rolled off the assembly line. Christoph sums up, the VW bus is the ultimate multi-purpose vehicle. A workhorse, a home, an ambulance, lifestyle mobile. The only limits are the owner's imagination. The aerodynamically optimized body and lightweight construction left the competition back for dust. It became one of the driving forces of West Germany's post-war recovery, a technology innovator, and without a doubt, a milestone in automotive history. Back then and today, the Doka is the cheapest way to go if you want to drive a first-generation VW T1. The T1 buses are still treasured collector's items, as indicated by their sharp rise in prices in recent years.